Steve is very nice when he snipes you. He will always apologize. He's right here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And he'll say that to you too in the playoffs too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I just want everyone to have fun, but I just want myself to have more fun.
Welcome all to Season 2. It's draft night again on Primetime Mock, the show where we bring you a different industry draft with guests from all over the fantasy community every week. I'm the host of this draft party, Mark Shuey, and we have got a good one tonight. The Scott Fish Bowl draft week is upon us. Drafts have already started. We have others happening this weekend, and I think most or all of them will be finished by Monday, or at least kicked off by Monday. I'm really excited to be back, drafting through this summer with all of you, and we have a great panel of guests tonight. Let's meet them. First up, my buddy Shuey here, Joe Shuey, part of Primetime Fantasy Network with me. Joe, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on, Mark? Doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, just got back from vacation a few weeks ago. Burner's here taking an auto draft right off the jump. I love to see that. That's how we're coming off here. That's all right.
What a guy.
But yeah, what a guy Burner is. But it's great to have you here. We got back from the draft a few months ago out in Vegas. We had a great time out there.
Hell of a runner you are.
And I'm ready to jump in here with this draft with you. How have you been since then?
Since the draft, pretty good. Joined a couple startups since then, kind of get that itch out of the way. Really looking forward to this season. I'm really looking back to being at M&T Bank and getting football back in my life.
Yeah, those season tickets to the Ravens are pretty.
They're going to be fun
nice
this year.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Lamar. I've got him for an MVP bet already at 28-1, which I'm pretty happy at looking at that.
You see that picture of him today?
No, I didn't.
Dude had.
Was he on the toilet?
Nah, he was out on the practice field and he looked absolutely jacked. He looked huge.
I'm so excited for Lamar this year. I hope people keep sleeping on him. All right, next up here in the draft room with us here, second time back. I think here. Maybe it's his third. Second time back. We've got Steve, the Fantasy Ladder. Steve, what's going on, man?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you having me on, Mark.
Always a pleasure. Always love having people come back. I don't know why they come back, but they do. Again, I hope what division are you in, Steve, for Scott Fish Bowl?
I landed in the Scranton division. I was hoping for Philadelphia, but I actually forgot to set my preferences, so I'm an idiot for that. But Scranton was a great fallback, and the division is just full of half Pennsylvania people and half like fans of The Office. So it's definitely a fun group of guys. It's actually a really good group of guys. A lot of big, competitive and known people in the community. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I am a Pennsylvania person. I live in Allentown out here. I did not realize, and I probably should have, that Scranton was going to be way more popular of a pick for the draft. But I ended up in Jurassic Park, the one standing Jurassic Park league. I'm excited for that one. Let me make my pick right here and introduce Seth Keller. Seth, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Excited to be out here mocking for Scott Fish. We talked a little bit about it pre-show, but if you didn't see the tweet that I put out before, I got two pieces of news on Tuesday. One was that I tested positive for COVID. The other that I just got the invite into Scott Fish. It happened an hour and a half later, and it just made my day so much better and brighter. I've been living out of my basement for the past couple days trying to not spread it to my wife and twin boys, which has actually given me plenty of time to look at fantasy numbers, play a little FIFA on the Xbox, all things I don't get to do on the regular basis as much. So
might have to add you on. What are you playing on Xbox?
Yeah, a little bit of Xbox.
FIFA's probably one of the best, most underrated games. Everyone's about Madden, but FIFA might be the most underrated Xbox game, or video game out there. People don't understand how good it is.
Yeah, no, it's so
very
smooth.
competitive.
It's super competitive, and also I feel like Madden just hasn't gotten any better since like 2014.
Well,
And
the best part about FIFA is how hard do you feel when you score a goal? Like when you score a goal, because it's not easy to score a goal in FIFA.
Yeah, no, it's
so when you score a goal on somebody, or you score 8 goals on somebody, you're just like, all right, you're over. I mean, come on.
That is the best.
Yes, FIFA, dude. Respect for that.
And this is our buddy JC Money Design from JC and Coach Craig Sports Show. He was in a fantasy football reality competition along with Shuey here, which is a DFS and fantasy football reality competition I put together this past year. We had a lot of great times with that, and I love hanging out on JC and Coach's show. They're a good group. How you been out there? You're ready for the Minnesota draft you were saying earlier.
Yeah, Minneapolis live draft, man. It's gonna be sweet, dude. It's Sunday, and Scottfish is gonna be there. It's gonna be a great time, man. It's gonna be awesome. So, live draft's gonna be just a little bit different. It's gonna be on Sleeper, so I'm stoked about that. I mean, MFL's, it's something. Can't even think of the word for it right now. It's
speaking
something.
of things that haven't gotten better since 2000 something, but they got a formula that works and they just keep with it, or worked and just keep with. Yeah, there we go.
What's nice is that Sleeper kind of came up and did their own thing to make some stuff work for Scottfish, and it's actually helping in a lot of other ways too. It's just all of us are kind of growing in our own way. Fantasy football in itself is growing in its own way. IDP is growing. Certain different aspects are growing, and it's nice that we can kind of take this. I mean, I love Sleeper as a platform, and then take this platform that we love, and then just kind of make it what we want it to be. And it's flowing nicely.
I am a little surprised they were not able to come up with a all flex with a kicker position for Scottfish, but I do love that Sleeper listens to the people who use it and try to improve from there. And the last one to sneak his way into the room here from the Fantasy Alarm, he was coming on, he wasn't coming on, surprising me here, coming on. It's the very reasonable Kevin Tompkins. Kevin, what's going on, man? Oh, he's on mute. Oh, Grandpa Kev with on the mute button.
Oh my God, the boomeritis got me. This will be available in sports soon. Was able to hop on here. Glad I did. To right in time, my pick is coming up in about 15 seconds, and I like this the Scott Fishbowl on Sleeper now. I mean, I usually do like FFPC, I do Underdog, but I mean, I gotta go Kyle Pitts here.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I like Pitts. I was in a mock draft a couple weeks ago where I was at the 101 just trying it out, and I took Taylor at 101. Everyone was crazy laughing at me, but then the next pick I got Pitts, then I took Waller, and then I got Carr. And I fucking loved that build.
Who'd you get as your second quarterback though?
I kind of reached and I took Trevor Lawrence, and it's not I don't love it, but I also got Zach Wilson, and I am actually a big Zach Wilson truther this year. So,
all right, guys, we are here doing a Scott Fishbowl mock. We've been talking about it a lot already. We've got a lot of different rules in a regular fantasy league. We've got passing completion percentage boosters. We've got kickers in the flex. We've got first down, half point additions, half point PPR. What are some of the players in this format that get a boost? Let's talk, and we're talking the tippy top of the draft. What are the players for you that are getting the biggest boost? I saw Shuey. You took Brady here at pick 9, which I actually love. Brady was the number one scorer in Scott Fishbowl scoring last year.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love that.
Why don't we talk? Can somebody else give me any other players that they think are boosted by the Scott Fishbowl format?
Well, I'm loving Always Auctions start right now. Like, he's probably going to be with Kelsey and Andrews. Oof, he could have
Yeah.
if he grabs the quarter. I mean, and then you got the is a third round reversal on this too?
Yep.
Yeah.
There is a third round
Yeah,
reversal.
so he could grab a quarterback here too and be okay.
Yeah, I think he's got it locked up. I really like Russell Wilson. I should have, and I like McCaffrey coming back around, but now I'm really thinking that I should have maybe grabbed a tight end. Good thing this is a mock draft, guys.
Hey, just to let you know, there's a lot of tight ends this year that people are going to be not thinking about as much, and you can grab some tight ends later. I think in the Scott Fish should be just okay.
Yeah,
if you didn't go with the strategy of like 2 tight ends really quick right away, that you can grab them later and be happy.
There's also not a lot of upside in taking the mid-late tier tight ends because it's tight end premium. Like that's a half point. Like that's only getting you like a lot of the mid tight ends. They're between 50 and 60 receptions. That's only a handful of points like over the entire course of the year. So you don't need to stretch yourself to get like last year. Tyler Higbee had 61 receptions. Like there's a bunch of guys in there. Higbee's a bad example. I was going to say Hawkinson, hell, even Tyler Conklin, they're right next to each other in terms of scoring last year. There's not a big difference with that tight end premium in that middle group. So I'm a big fan of if I don't get the Kelsey Andrews stack like that, I'll punt away.
And if I can get on my high horse here, I got to be honest. I cannot stand the tight end premium. I think it just it makes the good ones way better, but it makes everybody else. It doesn't fix the problem that it's setting out to do. It does not make tight end scoring any better. It just makes the good ones better, and everyone else sort of a little bit better, but not really better.
You want to fix for that, Shu? You want to fix
for it?
So the fix for that is you do tight end premium, and you don't make tight end an actual position that you have to start. You make that a flex position, so that anybody can build their teams how they want, and you don't have to designate a spot for that high end position. As in, you only have 4 elite, maybe tight ends, so only 4 teams have a great team, right? Well, if you make that a flex position to where you can say where you make your flex spot 3 flex spots, and you can maybe one team wants to build on, hey, I want to have 3 tight ends, and I'm going to start 3 tight ends every week, right? Maybe one team doesn't want to start any tight ends and then just have a bunch of other stuff, so you make that a flex spot instead of having it a designated spot.
Yeah, that's what I actually have a 14-team contract league, Superflex, that does not have a tight end. It doesn't have a tight end premium either, but it's just a wide receiver tight end slot. And honestly, it still functions the same way. It just gives you a little more versatility.
Dang, I just got a top 5 QB right there.
I love that, man. I was really thinking about taking Kirk Cousins on my 3rd round reversal.
Semtex, I am blown away that you did not take Kirk Cousins when you had the Jefferson Cup stack right there. If you would have took Cousins, I think you would have been an outstanding team.
I think he might have gotten the auto pick there.
Yeah, I think they were all auto.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go.
I'm not a Cousins fan. I'm a Vikings fan, and I tell you right now, I'm not a big Cousins fan. He is a stat QB. That's why he is a great QB for fantasy football and not real football, because that's why we don't win championships.
Yeah, he's going to hover around that.
We just do good enough to have a really bad draft pick.
Yeah, he's going to hover around that QB 10 to QB 14 pretty much every year. Not a sexy pick, but solid pick, especially as like a QB 2 and super flex.
Yeah, he's like the perfect QB 2.
And he always seems to fall.
He has an opportunity this year to be a little bit better. With a so let's say with a healthy Adam Thielen, I think Conklin was kind of in the way. I wasn't a big Conklin fan. I think that
Steve, you jerk.
I think that Cousins has an opportunity with a healthy Thielen and Justin Jefferson now actually being an elite wide receiver. It's a big combo right there. You got to remember that the first year that Jefferson was there and Thielen was there, they were both in the top 20 or top 15, or I think it was, of wide receivers.
And it was Diggs before Jefferson too. They were, I mean, at least they were being drafted that way. For a while, they were.
Diggs was made because of Keenum.
So how do we feel about this third round reversal? What is our? I don't know if any of you are sort of at your pick spot, or if you've just taken any spot in this draft. But based on where you are, does anybody have any particular draft strategy that involved that third round reversal? Like for me, I knew that I wanted to get one quarterback before the third round reversal hit. And then I would sort of decide if I liked what was left on the board, I would throw out a receiver that I liked or a tight end, and wait and see if I got a good quarterback coming back to me. Does anyone have any strategy hitting that third round reversal? I know it's not a standard thing we see in fantasy drafts, but how does it come into play for any of you? Does anyone have any insight there?
So with third round reversal, it just depends on where you want to pick. So if you pick from the back, you can do. I mean, with what Semtrex could have done. I mean, he could have done. Like I said, if he would have grabbed Cousins right there, I think he would have had an elite team. Just to me, with the third round reversal, it makes things a little bit more even with all the teams. Like I said, you get the first overall pick, you get the best pick of all. And yeah, you're on the back end of the second round, but you have two top 20 picks. You shouldn't have two top 24 or three top 24 picks. That to me is unfair. You know what I'm saying? That to me is unfair. You already have an elite team because you have that first pick. Because you have three top 24 picks.
Yeah.
So with that reversal, I think it makes it a little bit more fair all around. That's just my opinion.
Sure.
Yeah, last year I took 107. This year I'm 106, just because I don't want to be at the mercy of like having to reach above ADP for guys. If I really want them, I'll just let whatever happens. Being in the middle and not really having to have that long wait on picks. I just,
what is
I
ADP
think it's
in Scott Fishbowl though? Like what? What is ADP out here?
Well, I mean, everybody's got their Google Sheets, and everybody's got their, everybody has the Atlanta and Chicago drafts, pretty much not memorized, but I mean, at the beck and call, and pretty much studying that and kind of shaping some strategy toward that. But I mean, I haven't really looked at it that much, except for just seeing kind of where pockets of the draft are, where, quarterback 2 ranges are, but yeah, I'm not super worried about a lot of that, just being in the middle and just kind of letting whatever happens to me and not having to worry about being on the ends and then getting the back-to-back picks and then letting runs pretty much happen ahead of me and kind of be at the mercy of those, especially a tight end, especially at like quarterback early.
Yeah, and I think that's where it impacts decision-making the most is with quarterbacks and tight ends, and it gives the perception of equaling out the fairness and whatnot, but it still all comes down to who you pick in those spots, because we've all been in situations where it's like, you walk out of the draft and you're like, hey, I got a winning squad right here. These guys are going to be phenomenal. And then preseason ACL injury, non-contact, gone. This wide receiver breaks his leg, gone.
I just felt the hurt for Shuey just now.
I had
one pick away from Evans in the Brady stack.
I wanted Higgins. So
I almost took him in the last round just to get the stack, but I didn't want to take it too early. And I had my mouse on the draft button, ready to spam it, and he took him.
I think I'd rather have. Honestly, I feel like if Godwin can get healthy at least by week 2, I think I'd rather have him.
Oh man, yeah. Well,
I have about 6 or 7 of those wide receivers.
There's just guys, He makes me nervous too, just because who's that quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I got faith in that. Whoever's that quarterback in Pittsburgh they're going to try to get Deontay the ball no matter what.
I mean, you just had a really good keyword right there. Try.
Hey, if they can throw him 2-yard screens 100 times a game, I'll take it.
I mean, that's mostly
This
gonna
is
be
the guy you
Najee
should have
Harris.
pivoted to, Shuey. This is the guy you should have pivoted to right here.
You know,
I don't know.
This is
I don't-
he's a PPR machine. He's a
I
first
thought
down
about it.
machine. That's the guy you should have been taking with Brady.
He was also
I thought
replaced
about
by
it.
James Robinson.
He will.
Yes!
There's-
McPherson!
I love it.
It's too soon for me, but I love it. I love him, but
You know, there's
It's too soon.
these mock drafts never come out like they're actually
But
going
yes,
to.
I agree
on
that
here. We
he
need a
will
little.
be.
We need something. We need a little crazy going on in here.
he will be the kicker, the K1 for sure this year. He's a beast.
Yeah, but do you want a guy kicking extra points, or do you want a guy kicking field goals? That's where I'm weighing, because I will completely eliminate the Tuckers and the Butkers and all those other kickers, and I'll take the non-sexy guys who maybe are on offenses that will stall a little bit, like maybe like Nick Folk or Jake Elliott, guys like Randy Bullock, like offenses that are probably going to stall, that are not elite offenses, that are going to get long field goals, that are on offenses that are good enough. That's kind of my wheelhouse as far as if I'm going to draft a kicker.
I'd just be happier not drafting a kicker. Even with all this Scott Fish hype around kickers, it's give me the formula for predicting when the kicker is going to kick 3 field goals or 4 field goals. Like it's
right
So-
here. I got Linda in the group chat.
I was gonna say, is that
If you are in a sleeper league, you have to draft a kicker.
it's
Yep.
So
You know, if I couldn't get Kirk Cousins, I'm glad that I was able to get Matt Ryan that late. That's
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about that.
I don't like you today, Mark.
I'm pretty sad that Zach.
Hey, I didn't
would've
take
took
Mike
him.
Evans from you. I didn't do that. That was Iowa. My guy Iowa, I love you, Iowa, man. He jumped in here right again. Every time it's Iowa coming in for me.
Are you sure you don't have 2 sleeper accounts and you're just messing with them? Like, no, it's not me.
Put me in the Mark sandwich.
No, I wouldn't do that. Shuey might do something like that, but that's a different story.
And I think last year I was in a satellite, and I think I was sitting at the 7 or the 8, and I ended up getting Lamar Jackson and Herbert in the first 2 rounds.
Sweet, thank you. Thank you. Gifted me.
I love Schultz this year.
Gifted me.
Nice. All right, there goes one person out of my queue.
DJ Moore, what are you guys' thoughts on this whole thing with Baker? Do we really think that Baker's going to come in and make somebody? I mean,
I think he can throw the ball better than Darnold.
He's
Well, I
the
mean,
best
any-
quarterback he'll ever play with.
Darnold was closing his eyes and throwing the ball. I mean, he was looking at ghosts, so he was terrified. There's ghosts in the field, so he was like, "Fuck, I better close my eyes and hopefully somebody will catch it."
I have a very extreme DJ Moore bias, so I think he's going to excel.
What did you guys think? What did you guys think about the late great Steve Smith's comments about Baker Mayfield coming to Carolina?
Wait,
Anybody
no,
saw it? Nobody saw it.
I did not see it.
Oh, he was live. He was like live before going on air, and he was tweeting out. He goes, "So I heard that this is before they even like signed him." He goes, "I heard that my Carolina Panthers are thinking about talking with Baker Mayfield and signing him." And he goes, "My thoughts on that are no."
Him and Robbie Anderson must have been talking.
Well, Robbie's gone, dude. Oh, Robbie's got a string bean, dude. He doesn't do shit.
I also just realized
sorry.
Steve sniped me again with Waddle, and I was like, crap, I'm going to run out of time. Where the hell did Waddle go? And I'm scrolling back through the rest of the draft being like, no, he didn't go in the 4th round. Where is he? Son of a bee, Steve.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited for Waddle. Just because, I mean, obviously what he did last year with Tua was incredible. I do think, his upside is maybe a little bit capped with Tyreek around, but I think that connection with him and Tua will remain. I think it's still yet to be seen if Tyreek and Tua will be able to have the same kind of a connection that Waddle had. But I'm just really excited for Waddle. I'm extremely happy to have him as my wide receiver one in the late fifth. So very, very happy there. But I do apologize for the snipe there.
No, you don't.
A little bit.
Steve is very nice when he snipes you. He will always apologize. He's right here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And he'll say that to you too in the playoffs too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I just want everyone to have fun, but I just want myself to have more fun. I guess that's all.
So what are you guys' thoughts? Do you think Devonta Smith would have still won the Heisman Trophy if Waddle had been healthy all year? The answer to that is an easy no.
Probably not.
Because we just witnessed that Waddle was better than Smith in the NFL. Did we not? I'm going to tell you right now, though, I think that Smith flips it. I think he's better than Waddle this year.
Yeah?
Yep.
We're talking one season here. I mean, now.
No, I know it's one season, but Waddle had a better rookie season, but I think that Devonta flips it and has a better, sophomore season.
Yeah, I just see them as two different players too. The Heisman argument's one thing, but to say like Waddle had a better season than Smith, like they're just such different like prototypes of players, where like Smith is more of a technician route runner and Waddle is get me into any amount of space, even if it's a phone booth, and I'll make something happen.
But as analysts, are we not so quick to compare, who's the best rookie wide receiver this year? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm the weird analyst. I hate rankings. I
agree. But I'm just saying, is like when you hear this, you're thinking like most analysts are thinking like, who was the best wide receiver rookie this year?
Yeah, and then you get the arguments, which I think Brady wins now. But it's like, well, who's the better quarterback? And is it just Brady because he wins rings? Well, then oh God, why is his name escaping me? The basketball player with like 10 rings, Horry. Like, is he the best basketball player ever because he has 10 rings? No, but I'm, at this point, I think it's pretty easy to say like Brady's the best quarterback.
I'm gonna say I kind of threw up in my mouth when I picked that Marquise Brown.
I'll trade you.
We can't get too hyped, man. We just remember who the coach is on that team. Just imagine having one of the best quarterbacks prospects coming into the NFL on your team and being 50%.
Just be happy you wouldn't get negative points for drops.
Cliff, you just met, Cliff, man. He had Mahomes as his quarterback in college, and they were 50%. They went. It's a 500 team. Oh.
Well, I'm going to take Cortland Sutton right after you here.
Yeah, I am a very sorry, Shu. I'm going to tell you right now. This is my hot take of the year.
Is it that hot anymore?
Yeah, Tim Patrick outscores Jerry Jeudy this year.
Ooh,
that
is a hot one.
That's my hot take.
I don't know if that'll happen or not, but I don't think either of them will have as much value.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think Jeudy fucking plays 10 games. So
he's not practicing right now, apparently.
Oh, well.
Although it's not camp or anything.
You can be like the best route runner of all times, but if you can't either catch the ball or stay healthy, then you might be third or fourth on the list of being the target.
No. I'm happy to end up with Sutton stacking him with Russell Wilson. I finished up with Russell Wilson and Matt Ryan, like that for my QB duo. Two guys that are they have a high completion percentage. Russell's a little bit mobile. I like the team built around Matt Ryan. I like to see them make a lot of high completion passes and first downs. McCaffrey, pass catcher, first down machine. Love that. Same thing with Diggs, Fournette. If I wasn't going to get a tight end, I'm really happy with this build and was able and even able to stack my quarterback one. Shuey, why don't you go down through your team real quick and talk a little bit about your build?
Yeah, so I really wanted Lamar in round one. I really like the rushing upside, and he's a homer pick. But I wound up going with Brady. 6-point touchdowns really benefit him, and like you said, he was the number one scorer last year. And Eckler, I think he's after Taylor. He's my go-to running back there. So I was happy to get him there as the third running back off the board. He's a PPR machine. Swift, PPR machine as well. Hopefully a little bit different than last year. Hopefully they get him involved early in the game. Seemed like last year he had like 5 points up till the fourth quarter, then garbage time, just dump. Wasn't thrilled with the Deontay Johnson pick. Wanted the Evans stack there with Brady. I think that would have been monstrous. And then T-Law, I think that he's going to do better than last year. I don't think he's going to be great, but I think he'll be a serviceable mid to late QB2. I wanted Matt Ryan, but you sniped me there. And then Judy, just one of those guys that I've liked since he's came into the league, and just one of those guys that I like to have on my rosters. And I think that the upgrade to Russell Wilson's better than Drew Lock, and I think that Russ will spread the ball around a little bit like he showed he could in Seattle.
I'm really excited for the Russell Wilson Denver Broncos offense. I think that obviously they have a strong running game, but they do have a strong quarterback, and I don't think Russell went to Denver just to do the same Pete Carroll song and dance. I think that offense is still a little underrated, and Russell Wilson still is a top tier quarterback. So I'm really excited for that offense to come through. Actually, before Aaron Rodgers decided to stay in Green Bay, I had a bet on them to win the Super Bowl. I was actually really happy that Russell Wilson bailed me out to make there be any odds of that whatsoever. But yeah, really excited for that season. Steve, go through your draft. Tell us how you did and what your strategy was.
Yeah, so in the mocks I've done, the builds that I typically am trying to go for, and if anyone in my division is listening, I'm just know that I'm mainly lying here. The builds that I'm trying to go for are QB, or QB, Hero RB, QB. So if I do that, then I'm probably not going to target running back for a while. But it all sort of depends on which quarterbacks are available in the second and the third round. So in this case, for me, I wanted to approach it with the rushing quarterbacks because of it's a point per first down, is it?
Half.
I think it's
it's a half. Okay,
it's half for first down, half
also
for PPR.
-1 for incompletions, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm I'm going to be anticipating that a bit with Murray and Hurts, but I think that their rushing floor that they have can make up for that. And then the first downs that they can also get from the rushing, I think, can help supplement perhaps some of their poor completion percentage. But I do like those quarterbacks a lot. I was thrilled to land Hurts there towards the end of the second. Then with the running backs, I just like the earlier stage of running backs much better than like the mid or the late. So I was happy to get Aaron Jones, and then there was a groan there from somebody. Obviously, he could very likely lead the Packers in targets. I think that's definitely a possibility, as well as being a very efficient runner. And then I was very happy to get Barkley, who I was actually debating getting there at 3.9. I'm very bullish on him. Perhaps that's my Penn State bias coming out, but I think as long as he's healthy, he does have legitimate top running back upside. I think he is still a workhorse type who can catch the passes and obviously get big chunk plays. As long as he's on the field, I think that's a pretty strong pick there in the fourth. So in this case, I wouldn't be targeting a running back for quite some time. I would be just smashing wide receivers like the rest of the way, or tight ends, depending on who's there. So Jalen Waddle, talked about him a little bit. I kind of like him as I think his ceiling is obviously like a wide receiver one, even with Tyreek Hill there. Just an explosive playmaker, like someone said, he can really just catch the ball anywhere and just make big plays happen. So thrilled to get him as a wide receiver one, especially as the draft goes on. I'm much happier filling in the rest of the roster with those remaining wide receivers rather than the upcoming running backs in like the round 8, 9, 10 range. And then tight end, TJ Hawkinson is trying to keep the tight end premium in mind here. I didn't love what I had at my disposal there at the wide receivers. So I just went with my next best tight end in Hawkinson, who I think has, top 5 upside at the position if he's healthy, which he demonstrated 2 seasons ago. I was considering Goddard there to kind of complete like the Hurts and Goddard stack. But just went with Hawkinson, just taking the best available at the position. So I'm pretty happy with how it went.
I think you did better with Hawkinson. I'm not a huge Goddard fan this year.
Gotcha.
I love your team. I love your rushing. You went with rushing quarterbacks with the upside of passing, especially with who they have there, as receivers, and then Aaron Jones. I mean, I think that as an AJ Dillon truther, I think Aaron Jones still could be one of the top RBs this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Barkley Barkley in the 4th, man, that's crazy. And then I mean, yeah, your team's it's on point. I love Hawkinson too. I think people are underrating him.
While you got the mic, go ahead and go through yours, Justin.
Oh well, so I just kind of flipped it a little bit. Everyone was going, I didn't think that everyone would go all the way, QB all the way to 6. I thought somebody would probably, step in and take Taylor. I mean, Taylor fell to me to 7, whatever. I'll fade QB a little bit. I wanted Carr to fall to me when I went with Adams, but that's okay. I'll take Cousins. We all knew he's a stat QB, so stat QB is in the old fantasy rankings there. It's gonna definitely help you out there. And then I really wanted Higgins to fall to me there as my second wide receiver, but then I was like, you know what? I'll just take Breece Hall, and I was hoping that Zach Wilson would fall to me, and maybe he'll get a couple passes there, do little things with that stack, but didn't happen. So I just went with Schultz, and I think that Schultz could be a top 4 tight end this year easily. And I went Marquise Brown in my last pick. Kind of threw up a little bit, but only because of where he was at the year before. We'll see what happens with Kyler this year. Him maybe potentially being the wide receiver 1 for the first 6 games, but we'll see. But it was kind of a little bit different strategy. A lot of people at this point here at the 7 are going to go QB, but I flipped it a little bit and went run it back wide receiver, and then there's still a lot of QBs left. If you look here, there's so many QBs still left in this next round. I'm looking at it now, and I think you're still fine. You're still grabbing a QB in the next round and still having a great team.
Yeah, no, I like the build you put together.
There's other running backs out there. I like Zeke. A lot of people are fading Zeke this year, but I think that this is a year where he's kind of like a prove it year for him. Where he's going to come out and just dominate. A lot of people are on that Pollard train, but Pollard's a beast. But
the Schultz Zeke stack is one that I'm excited for. Not many people talk about the running back tight end stack, but that is a stack also. In terms of correlation, it's I think the 2nd or 3rd in terms of which stacks are most correlated. I think Schultz, outside of like, if you had to bet on somebody to be, have the potential to be the tight end 1 outside of like the top 3 guys, it's Schultz for me. And also I'm completely on the same wavelength with Zeke having a bounce back year. He played through nagging injury. Hopefully his line gets a little bit better. Yeah, like there's a lot of things that I could see Zeke having a bounce back year, and to get him in the 7th round right now, that would be huge.
Yeah, I do like that Schultz pick a lot. I think ultimately when you get rid of Amari Cooper, the tight end has just been a long-standing Dallas offensive piece that
And
has
Gallup
been
is still injured. You know, he's still
exactly. Gallup is still injured.
Yep.
You might get something from James Washington. Okay, you might get something from, but not enough consistency to supplant a guy like Schultz who obviously isn't going to be your first pass catching option, but he's going to be there at the sticks, ready to catch your first down.
He loves the end zone too.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
He's reliable.
Yeah, exactly. Seth, why don't you give us your draft now?
Sure. So it was Patrick Mahomes, pretty easy for me with the 3 slot. Allen went 1. That's pretty expected. Herbert 2. If that didn't happen, I may have gone with the RB stack and gone with Jonathan Taylor there. But with Patrick Mahomes dropping to me, I took the shot right away. Coming back, I didn't like the next kind of tier of quarterbacks there. If Stafford had fallen, I may have taken a shot with him there. But since those guys were already kind of taken up, I snatched up Najee Harris, who I think is going to be, again, hyper involved in that offense. And with the 3-round reversal, I knew I wasn't getting another kind of tier there. Derrick Henry makes me a little nervous. Cook could have gone there, but I decided to go a little different and went with Najee instead. Then coming back, I was so flustered by Aaron Jones, who should be hyper involved again, being drafted right in front of me. I went with another guy that I think needs to be hyper involved, especially considering my take.
Brissett.
Bingo. My take is that Jacoby Brissett is going to be the starter for the year, which means Nick Chubb
is the quarterback, essentially.
Hey, put him in Wildcat, let him run forward. It's fine. I'm okay with that. So I think he's going to be hyper involved. Back around, a bit of a stretch here going with Tua, but I think, again, that next kind of group of guys, I feel comfortable with Tua with more weapons around him, as well as he had a really good pass completion percentage last year. So I feel like I'm not going to get dinged that much. I was also really surprised to see Kyler Murray's pass completion percentage was like super high. And I had it in front of me just a minute ago, and then I lost it. Yeah, he was at 69.2, only behind Joe Burrow as the top quarterbacks, top scoring quarterbacks in terms of pass completion. So shout out to you, Steve, because that was another great one. And now I'm like, I think I need to move Murray up my draft board, looking just at that completion percentage. After that, I wanted to just kind of take next best available. I think Pittman is, again, going to be hyper involved in that offense. I like Paris Campbell as a long shot. I like Alex Pierce as a long shot. But I think Pittman's going to be the main guy there, outside, obviously, of Jonathan Taylor. And then DK Metcalf, same type of situation. If it's, Geno lobbing the ball to him, if it's Drew Lock throwing it, 90 yards across the field, DK is the one that can get underneath of it because he's so damn fast. So for a guy going, as the wide receiver 5 1 year to being able to get him in the 6th round, granted it's, Geno or Locke, which makes it a tougher pick, but I'm happy with the potential out of those guys.
I don't really think that matters, though. I don't think that really matters with Geno or, Locke being there because, I feel like that, with Russell there, he was more looking to, lock onto Lockett than anybody else.
Seth, I really do like your build. It's a lot. I think ours are actually pretty similar, even though on opposite sides of the board. But if you're not going to go tight end, not that I am avoiding tight end. If I can get my hands on one, and maybe in a different universe, I take Kelsey at 10 there. But if you're not going tight end, I really like what receiver and running back kind of leaves you in those middle rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite thing about this is there's really like you can go any number of different ways to really exact your advantage. And before we get to Kevin Tompkins, who can give us a more of a zero RB look, Pat Lane has joined us from Patriot Nation podcast, and he's also in the Jurassic Park division with me. So kind of my nemesis, watching and waiting until the very end to come in through. Pat, what's going on? How are you?
What's going on? Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. It was a crazy night. We ate dinner at like 9:15, and of course the kids were like, "Let's take orders, and everyone will sit down, and we'll like get your dinner for you." And I'm like, "Okay, this is great, but like trying to enjoy the moment, but I'm also mock drafting. Like what the
and it's kids, and it takes forever when it's kids,
right? Of course, yeah, of course, yep."
All right. Well, since you're here, give us a quick rundown of your draft.
Yeah, so I am in the Isla Nublar, or Isla Nublar, however you'd like to say it, with you. I love that. With you, Mark. So, but I had the second overall pick. I went Herbert. I'm on the fence here. Like Josh Allen to me kind of seems the consensus at number one. Mahomes could be the guy at number one. Herbert could be the guy at number one. Kyler Murray, I like. Love you, Steve, but like I am not touching Kyler Murray with a 10-foot pole. I drafted him number 3 overall last year in Scott Fish Bowl. I have no desire to go anywhere near that guy. I just feel like he gets hurt every year, and so I'm just not touching him. But 2 is like I feel like you have to go quarterback early on, which everyone did here. And then so it's kind of like, well, if Allen doesn't go number 1, then it's Allen. But if Allen goes number 1, it's like, who do you take? Herbert, Murray, or not Murray, but Herbert, Mahomes. Dak even if you want to take Burrow, Lamar like kind of makes sense if you want to go after the rushing aspect. But I went Herbert in this case, and then came back around and took Henry at the end of the second round. I didn't love it, but the problem was that there's no quarterbacks left for me to take. So it was like either I go Jamar Chase or Stephon Diggs or I go Henry, and so that was kind of what I was stuck with. I could have theoretically gone, I know people are high on Dalvin Cook again. Yeah, okay, fine. I could have gone Cook. I could have gone Swift, but I went with Henry instead. And then honestly, third round, I got sniped in the third round. I wanted Chubb at the end of the third round, and so then I was like scrambling. I didn't love the QBs, so I went Debo.
That's good.
And then on the way back around, I took Waller in the fourth round. Tight end premium. I was like, I could theoretically wait. I almost went 2 there, but I'm like, you know what? Let's go Darren Waller. And then on the way back, a little homer pick with Mac Jones in the fourth round. Look, I mean,
I love this pick, Pat. It doesn't even need to be a homer. I
know it definitely was a little bit of a homer pick. However, like I do think, especially when you're getting points, half a point per completion and -1 for incompletion, you're looking for a guy who's going to be in that 65 to 70% completion percentage range. He was in that a decent amount last year. He had his struggles, but I do think the way that offense goes and the way that he has a willingness to dump it down if he has to, I think that's going to benefit you with a guy like Mac. So I did that, and then I finished off with Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. Again, I got, by the way, before the Mac Jones pick, I got sniped again. Michael Pittman got taken right before me. So another guy that I was high on too. So, but nevertheless, I went McLaurin on the way back and kind of struggled with that McLaurin Metcalf pick, but went Scary Terry there.
I love Terry.
I'm gonna steal one from Steve. I'm sorry that I sniped you, but I'm also glad to hear that when I got sniped, I sniped the person right next to me. Also, right. It was just like a chain reaction.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Which makes us, it feels like we're all in that same kind of range where it's like, all right, these are the guys in that grouping.
That's the best feeling in the world when you snipe someone. It's like, all right, like yep. But people are thinking the same thing, same way I'm thinking, and I got someone else wanted.
Yep.
And when you're with like fantasy and football nuts like all of us, every player. We all love every player, so every pick is a snipe. So a draft is really just a bunch of guys getting sniped over and over again.
Well,
all the way down the line.
Last year in the Scott Fish Bowl, the best thing that ever happened to me was I got sniped in the 9th round. I was sitting waiting. I hadn't taken a tight end yet. I wanted Jonnu Smith in the 9th round, and the person before me picked Jonnu Smith, and I was so pissed. And so I was so mad that I had to settle for Brandon Cooks in the 9th and Hunter Henry in the 10th. And it was like, oh my God. Like,
did you say you settled for Brandon Cooks, the guy who has 1,000 yards receiving?
That's what I'm saying. So it ended up working out so well because I was like, I was going to take Cooks in the 10th on the way back. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll take Cooks in the 9th. I don't know who I'm going to take. I took Henry instead in the 10th. And it was like, it was like two of my best players, my most consistent players all year last year. So
trying to go back to remember a time when Jonnu Smith was like a 10th round.
I know.
It was way back last July, right?
It was. Yes, it was.
All right.
The Homer pick with Jones, like the only thing about Jones that makes me nervous is the fact that Belichick doesn't really give a shit about who's at quarterback right now. He cares about winning games.
I don't know. I think they believe.
They run the ball a lot. But they've had games where it's just like he doesn't. They've had games where he's like thrown like 30 yards.
Yeah. Well, that one game. I mean, that game. Josh Allen couldn't throw the ball.
Throw that out.
Hurricane in Buffalo.
Yeah.
You're not did pretty good that game, though.
That was bad.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's
you're not wrong.
Okay,
you're not wrong in the fact that they may not rely on him too much.
That game.
You're right. No, he had multiple games where he had under 200 yards passing, right? But
he had some great moments in that.
He did
in his rookie year,
right.
and that's that's all you can really ask for.
Waller in the 4th, you cannot. Can't ask for a better. Waller in the 4th is just
right.
That's sexy.
Yeah.
All right. I want to get you all out of here, so I'm going to let Kevin take the floor here. Kevin, tell us about your draft and your strategy here.
Yeah, so I'm a noted ageist. You can just look through my roster and just see like nobody over like 26. So Joe Burrow, I mean, ascendant offense, completion percentage was in the 70s last year. He might run a little more. He can kind of excuse that last year coming off an ACL. But, I mean, Burrow. And then you just attach Higgins to that. I mean, Higgins pretty much outscored Jamar Chase from weeks 11 to 18 last year. He out-target shared him last year as well by percentage points, but still comparing Higgins to Chase, I mean, you're pretty much getting a discount about a round and a half on Jamar Chase. And who's to say T. Higgins couldn't do that over a full season? So give me the cheaper option in Cincinnati. I'll take T. Higgins all day long. Kyle Pitts, I mean, dude's a freakazoid, put up 1,000-yard season at age 21. Say what you want about the quarterback, but I mean, I think he's pretty much in line for touchdown regression, close to another 1,000-yard season. I mean, why can't he play off of Drake London? And, if I'm a big Desmond Ridder guy, if he gets in there, I mean, him over Mariota, I'll take all day long. But I hopefully Arthur Smith thinks that too. So definitely in on Kyle Pitts as far as overall tight end one upside over Kelsey and Andrews. Definitely like that, even though it's maybe a little bit of a reach in the second, but I want to get my guys. And then CeeDee Lamb, we already talked about it. There's target ambiguity outside of CeeDee Lamb with Dalton Schultz, and then you've got Jalen Tolbert, James Washington, Michael Gallup coming off of an injury as well. So CeeDee Lamb was pretty much taken off the field when Gallup and Cooper were healthy last year. He only ran about a 76% route share. There's no way that happens this year. He's running a 90% target share. He's not coming, or I'm sorry, route share. He is not coming off the field this year. So CeeDee Lamb, I definitely like that access to the Dallas offense. DJ Moore, I mean, now he gets a little bit of a bump. Like I said, it's the best quarterback he's ever played with. You're talking about Kyle Allen, the ghost of Cam Newton, Teddy Bridgewater, those guys. So give me DJ Moore, who's averaged 1,100 yards and 140 targets the last 3 seasons with that skeleton crew of a quarterback grouping. And then Travis Etienne, play the talent. James Robinson is 8 months off an Achilles tear. I mean, we look at Cam Akers and think everybody can do that. And I think that's an anomaly. I don't know if James Robinson starts the season, could start the season on the PUP list, and behind him is Snoop Connor. I mean, that's a 3-down role Travis Etienne has gifted to him right now, and that Jacksonville offense post Urban Meyer, there's Trevor Lawrence didn't become bad overnight. I mean, that offense is going to be a lot better this year. I think they're going to make steps while, being down. They'll probably spike in pass rate. Travis Etienne should get quite a bit of that. I think he's a dark horse to be in the mix for the top target share in Jacksonville. So, I mean, I don't typically draft running backs that high. He was kind of an outlier there, and I wanted to at least get ETN there. And then, I didn't draft the second quarterback, but there's guys out there that are, Ryan Tannehill, Jameis Winston. I can take a shot at any of the younger guys. But that's a really good start. I really enjoyed pretty much getting who I wanted.
Did you just say that you don't draft running backs before the 6th round?
Oh, last year I didn't take one to the 11th.
I'm going to tell you right now, Travis Etienne probably should have went after your 5th pick. I think that he should have been the next pick. I think that if he was healthy last year, James Robinson would have been a nothing. Etienne is one of my favorite running backs this year. I think a lot of people are sleeping on the injury. Like, the connection that him and Lawrence had in college is not something that people should be sleeping on. Because in college, it was a real thing. Real.
It makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. And they drafted him. I mean, I know it wasn't them, right? The regime is gone, but still, like, he was drafted in the 1st round for a reason, right? Like, he has the talent to catch the ball to the backfield and run with the ball. So, I mean, in the 6th round, like, it's very good value there,
But he's what they were looking for as a wide receiver, running back, hybrid type player. Like, they were looking for that player in that offense, and they had it, but they didn't know how to use it. What's his name? Who was that wide receiver they had?
LaVisca.
They didn't know how to properly use him, but Etienne's a little bit, bigger body kind of player, so he can, do that as a running back and a receiver, And having that player in the offense, I think, will open that offense a lot more.
I gotta say, I really do like that wide receiver trio there, Kevin. That and then to top it off with ETN as your first running back, I like it a lot.
I agree.
Yeah, it's. I mean, again, there are so many different strategies that you can come up with to exact your leverage on this draft. Really, that's why you got to do these mock drafts. You got to come through and see any sort of opportunity. What might be presented to you, and then you can use that in your next draft coming forward. That's kind of what we do here at Primetime Mock. We just mock through all sorts of different kinds of things and change up and see how we might change our opinion just based on how we format it. This is a great first episode for us here. We're going to be doing this all summer long. Really excited to get this going. Really excited to get Fantasy Football, the reality competition I put together last year, get season 2 of that going. You'll be hearing more about that soon. Before we sign off, let's get one last thank you to all of our guests. Steve from the Fantasy Ladder, thank you so much. Where can they find you?
You can find my work at Dynasty Pros Football and at IDP Guys, and I have a podcast called the Fantasy Ladder Podcast. That'll be starting back up here in the next couple of weeks. So be on the lookout for that, and appreciate you having me on.
Anytime, Steve. I'm always happy to have you come back. Seth Keller, go ahead. Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me at the FF Face Off, as well as the podcast that I co-host with Dynasty_Pat, which is at the Fantasy Facts. Presented by Fantasy Data. So thank you so much for having me on.
It's great to have you. I always love meeting new people on the internet. I don't mess with Twitter. I can't deal with being on Twitter. I can meet you face to face. The internet's a wonderful place.
Yeah.
Seth, I hope to cross paths with you again here soon, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Pleasure's mine.
Moving on to JC Money. Tell them where they can find you, man.
Hey, so you can find me at JC Money Design pretty much anywhere. If you guys are looking for, I'm a Shuey. Hey, you need to Mark. You need to hit me up if you need a avatar for the Division 4 Jurassic Park, because that sounds like a lot of fun to try to design. And my buddy is trying to raise some money for Kawasaki's disease, so if anybody wants to donate for that, I'd be happy to help my friend out. His kid actually got affected by Kawasaki disease, so IDP Iggy, if anybody knows him, I'm trying to do any design work for anybody out there that's trying to raise charities. I will do anything. 100% of that money will go towards charities. So I do graphic work. So.
Well, I need one for Scott Fishbowl 12 because I just found out that I was in it on Tuesday. So I'll send you a DM and we'll work something out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything's going to charity. So to me, it's just like if anybody needs help, we're just trying to donate, help anybody out there that needs help, right? That's
another thing.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah, I know. That's another thing about SFB is, you get all excited for the draft, you get excited for it, but it's, just the sheer philanthropy of it all. You just see all these people coming together, and even if you're a part of it, if you're not a part of it, like just seeing the community come together and put some of their fantasy winnings towards good, or just putting their whole buy into what Now I'm donating. I was donated to. I donated to the kid. Why can't I remember the name of it now? Either way, for kidney cancer, for my mother-in-law, I donated to the Kidney Cancer Foundation. There we go. Last year. This year I'm donating to the ACLU. Very excited about that, and it's always great to get your charitable causes out there. It's a really wonderful thing that Scott's put together. Not that he invented charity or anything, but getting us all together and doing it all at once really feels great. Kevin Tompkins, go ahead. Kevin Tompkins, go ahead. Tell us where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at KTompkinsII, writer for Fantasy Alarm, as well as the Matthewsbury's Fantasy Life newsletter. Just started ramping up. We will start getting to 5 days, I believe, in the next week or two here. Also, go to fantasylife.com. Great site. Just opened this past week as far as, you can find all sorts of tools, great write-ups from just some of the best writers in the industry. Also, our Lightning Round podcast with Britt Flynn and Andrew Cooper every Wednesday. And then be on the lookout. I put out a gigantic Anchor RB strategy guide that's going to be coming up tomorrow in our 2022 draft guide for Fantasy Alarm. So check that out.
Nice. Awesome. I love it. And finally, Pat Lane, go ahead. Tell us where they can find you.
Yeah, so on Twitter, I'm plane_Pats. I write for the Patriots on Pat's Pulpit, and I do a little bit of fantasy stuff over at Eat Sleep Fantasy as well. I'm trying to branch out more into fantasy. I've been playing fantasy my whole life, but I just new to the analyst game. So trying to do some new stuff with Eat Sleep Fantasy over there, and I'm going to be on the Pat's Pulpit feed. I think this year I'm going to be doing a fantasy show as well on top of that. So, kind of geared towards the Patriots a little bit, but also kind of, some start sit questions, things like that. So, just trying to increase the amount of stuff I'm doing fantasy wise. So
love it.
Well, with the exception of Pat, I hope all of your drafts go really, really well. Shuey, tell them where they could find you. You're going to be here back doing these shows a lot this summer, so you're not quite company here. But tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Shuey_FF, and then I'll be hanging out here with Mark a lot on the Primetime Fantasy Network.
And you can find me at Primetime Mock. And yeah, we'll be doing this all summer. So great first show. We'll be back next week. Have a great night, everybody.